If you're a man, you missed a great lesson in the movie Troy. Granted, it has quite a mixed rating, but that's probably because its category is sword and sandal? I mean, it's true, but anyway. I suppose the bad rating is due to the fact that it's truly a display of masculinity. True masculinity. Beards, swords, blood, sweat, fighting and screaming. And while in 2004, when the movie was released, we weren't this deep into feminism as we are today, it was already creeping up slowly. But that's a story for another time. Troy displays greatly what a true man is, what moves him, what directs his decisions, as well as what a weak man is, what true toxic masculinity looks like, and how one weak motherfucker being blinded by can run thousands of men into war, make an entire empire fall, get his big brother killed, and the best fighter there ever was. Quite apart from the fact that this movie is over 3 hours long, the story is quickly explained. This drunk boy right here is Agamemnon. He is the king of Mycenae and rules over the whole Aegeus with a loose alliance. Well, almost. Because of these guys, the king, oldest son and prince, and his youngest son and prince ruling over Troy, he doesn't have it all. So he mad. His brother Menelaus is the king of Sparta. Yes, Sparta is kinda lame in this movie, but whatever. Menelaus is tired of war and tries to make peace with Troy. So Hector, remember this guy, and his brother go to Sparta to make the peace deal. This is the setup for the movie. And now it gets interesting, and we see this lad's weakness in full force in just a minute. Alright, so this beauty is Menelaus' wife, Helen, the queen of Sparta. And she fucks this guy, called Paris, for some reason. Hector even tells him in between that this is truly a stupid idea.
Fish.
You do understand why we're in Sparta.
For peace.
And you understand that Menelaus, the king of Sparta, is a very powerful man. And that his brother Agamemnon, the king of Mycenae, commands all the Greek forces.
But the power of is stronger. Gotta admit though, she's really hot. Anyway, it gets worse. I mean, technically, if he just bangs her those 5 days they stay in Sparta, they might get away with it. But oh well, this guy doesn't have his dick under control. You know what this is? A weak beta male. Sure, he might be more manly than most of guys these days, just because he knows how to fight, but he still falls for the power of pussy. Here is your first display of what a true man would actually do. He would not risk his homeland being attacked by the full force of Greece, disobeying his father, getting his brother in danger and thousands of men, making thousands of widows just for one woman. That is a scarcity mindset. There are millions of women out there. You do not sacrifice your goals for one woman. Ever. Alright, so Troy and Sparta make peace. But it's pretty short-lived because Paris actually takes Helen with him. A quick side note to this. You might be thinking, wait a second, abundance mindset man? Didn't you just say there are millions of women out there? Why is the king of Sparta so concerned with this one woman? Well, he tells you.
My wife waits for me right there. Wives are for breeding. You understand? For making little princes. Come enjoy yourself tonight.
Now you might say this is sexist, or a dick move. But what it really is biology. There is a whole science behind the fact that men are designed to copulate with as many women as possible. But they still choose one to be their wife. I am not judging, I am just saying. Anyway, back to the point. So Menelaus is mad that someone just took his wife, which is understandable because that is a question of honor. I mean, that's truly a dick move. Literally. Notice something else here? It isn't really about the woman. Although men have killed thousands of other men to get one woman in the past, this fight was truly about honor and respect. And you have to defend your honor. How can you be the king of Sparta if some milksop can just come in and steal your girl? He is clearly disrespecting you. There is also a lesson about women in there. Women do go for brave men. Also, this wasn't the case back in the day, since we had real men who went for what they wanted. But this is a fallacy for lots of women, because she falls in love with her fantasy of the guy. She thinks this guy right here is a world beater and just takes what he wants. But he isn't. He had a false sense of confidence by being born a prince. But men aren't born men. We are born as boys. We need to become men. We need to prove our worth. Paris right here thinks killing a man is easy business. But Hector knows better.
Fighting. Tell me, little brother, have you ever killed a man?
No.
Ever seen a man die in combat?
No.
I've killed men. And I've heard them dying. And I've watched them dying, and there's nothing glorious about it.
It's not fun. It might be necessary, but certainly not fun. He has already become a man. He had his skills tested. He hasn't, which will soon be displayed. But before he can have his false confidence tested, he pulls another weak move. Helen feels bad that a huge war is happening solely because of her.
Their husbands died because I'm here. I'm going down to the ship.
So what's his idea?
What if we left?
Run the fuck away. God. A true man knows you can never run away from your problems. They follow you everywhere. Your only chance to fixing them is by facing them full frontal. That's what makes a real man. It hardens your shields. It gives you confidence because you conquered something. This f***ing girl has more pluck than the guy she bangs. Because again, she is still in love with the fantasy of him, not the real him. Which is also what tends to happen these days after you're married for a bunch of years. And the woman realizes you do nothing but playing video games instead of conquering the world. Hence she loses desire. Makes sense, right? Her fantasy of you has nothing to do with the real you. I mean, yes, there is a lot more to this, and you can display greatness without overthrowing whole empires, but you get my point. So she actually talks him into fighting his problems, which is weak as shit on its own that she has to tell him, but whatever. And he goes out and does it. He offers to fight Menelaus for Helen, which is also where we have confirmed that this war wasn't over one woman.
Let me kill this little peacock.
I didn't come here for your pretty wife. I came here for Troy.
And Menelaus was just used, but he still wants his honor.
I accept your challenge, and tonight I'll drink to your bones.
So Paris does in fact fight Menelaus. Obviously he loses, because he never listens to his bigger brother.
Make him swing and miss, he'll tire.
And again displays his true weakness in full force.
Fight me!
Embarrasses his brother, his father for the loser he raised,
Fight him, son. Fight him.
and everyone else, which actually inspired a meme.
Is this what you left me for?
This guy gets it. That shit is weak as hell. And in this second right here, Helen realizes her mistake. The image of Paris she had was wrong. Reality hit her way harder than his dick. We don't see much of them both after the scene, but I imagine she's got a headache now every time he wants her. Oh, and did he die in this scene? No, his big brother came to the rescue. And this is an issue even today. A great man had to die because a weak man didn't stand up for his mistakes. Not only did Menelaus not fall properly in an honorful duel, he was more or less backstabbed because of this wimp. I mean, look at this scene again. This is how men were back in the days. Even though they were here to kill each other brutally, they had enough honor to negotiate first. Hector could just ram his sword into Agamemnon right here and the war would be over. But that would be a weak move. That's not how men act. There is no honor in such a move. True honor and confidence is built in fighting a real fight and winning. We see this later in the movie when Hector fights Achilles. I'll get to this magnificent bastard in a second. Look here, those are Trojan soldiers. These are Greek soldiers, side by side, because this is an important duel, and respect tells you to have them battle this out first. This is even more so displayed when this actually wasn't Achilles, but his cousin who just wanted to fight.
Not for one day.
Back to the ships!
They accept that a young man accidentally dying on the battlefield is enough for one day. Look at the mutual respect displayed here. Seconds ago they were both killing each other, but they never lose respect for the other great man. This scene brings us to another great man, Achilles, played by Brad Pitt in truly great shape. Achilles is the greatest fighter on earth at this point. He is the leader of the Myrmidons. They are supposed to be the greatest fighters who ever lived, whose ancestor is King Myrmidon, a man who is known to be the son of Zeus. And goddamn, I'd love to have such a head. Look at this magnificent fucker. So he fights for Agamemnon, although he realizes that he is a bad king.
A great victory was won today. But that victory is not yours. Kings did not kneel to Achilles. Kings did not pay homage to Achilles.
Perhaps the kings were too far behind to see. The soldiers won the battle.
History remembers kings, not soldiers.
He sees through the bullshit of a person as a great man should. He knows this man is a narcissist. He doesn't care about uniting the Greeks, he just wants power. He isn't like Agamemnon, who sees women as objects to rape. He sees them as people to conquer through greatness, through being a great man. And he is willing to sacrifice his life to defend them.
No argument with you, brothers, but if you don't release her, you'll never see home again. Decide.
Guards!
He tells them what is right and what isn't, and he's willing to kill his brothers and probably himself in the pursuit of what is right.
Before my time is done, I will look down on your corpse and smile.
When he first meets Hector on the first day of war, he doesn't just kill him right away, although he easily could.
My lord, you let him go?
It's too early in the day for killing princes.
Later, after he finally kills Hector in an honorable fight, he still has the respect towards his father.
Your son was the best I fought. In my country, the funeral games last for 12 days.
It is the same in my country.
Then the prince will have that honor.
He disobeys his own king to give the enemy king 12 days of peace, because he follows the rules. He will not break rules of honor for an easy victory. Well, these 12 days did actually make it possible for the Greeks to build a Trojan horse, which will bring down Troy, but he didn't know that. So this movie displays multiple facets of masculinity. The real toxic masculinity like this guy and these assholes who rape women. Another form of toxic masculinity displayed in a weak male who brings doom upon whole empires. And then we have the real positive masculinity displayed in these great men who fight for what is right, who know what is right and honorable and worthy of protection. And you know what? They both die. Hector dies against Achilles in an honorable fight, which was solely caused since this motherfucker couldn't keep his dick in his pants and didn't have the balls to fight his own fights. And Achilles dies while protecting the innocent by being backstabbed by this motherfucker again, who couldn't see an honorable man if he was hit in the face with a plank that says honor. I mean, he's clearly helping him. God, what an ass! So, here's your lesson for today. Great men die in protecting the innocent and paying for weak men's mistakes, which ends up in a weak man surviving and ruling over empires. So you really don't need to wonder where the true masculinity dies. True masculinity dies in battle for weak men. You probably know this great quote: great men create great times. Great times create weak men. Weak men create hard times, and hard times create great men. This never ends. And Western society is currently right here. The great men have long died out in the great world wars we lived through. Left were weak men who didn't fight and boys who were raised without great fathers. Only very few men these days stand up for what is right, for the truth. And the result is misguided people running rampant, which will inevitably end in hard times. And those hard times will forge another tribe of great men, which will bring true masculinity back. But why don't you aspire to be such a man today? Change the world for the better. Stand up for what is right. And maybe you will be named amongst other great men.
If they ever tell my story, let them say I walked with giants. Men rise and fall like the winter wheat, but these names will never die. Let them say I lived in the time of Hector. Let them say I lived in the time of Achilles.
True great men of honor, who fight for what is right, who will be remembered throughout history for what they did, who have a right to be remembered because they had the best in mind for society instead of themselves. Righteous, confident, masculine, giving, great.
Shiva.